I would have assumed many presidents came, but I think just the spirit of the country's taken on a whole new life. I thought it would be a good thing for the country to have the president be at the game.
President Trump speaking to Bret Baier ahead of yesterday's history-making appearance at the Super Bowl, where he was greeted with raucous applause in the Superdome as his second-term agenda comes into focus. And welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Dana Perino.
And I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning at home. And the halls are quiet. The streets are quiet. The airports were quiet yesterday.
Oh, yesterday?
It's like the country stopped on Super Bowl Sunday. So we're back at it now. President Trump breaking norms, shattering boundaries, barreling ahead with plans to carry out his agenda at breakneck speed. It will not slow down today, America. The president's expected to dip back into his toolbox and announce new tariffs on aluminum and steel as he moves to level the playing field on the world stage.
This new round comes after threats against Canada and Mexico yielded results last month. Here's the president's new plan.
We'll also be announcing steel tariffs on Monday.
On this to tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody, steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about anything, sir?
Aluminum too.
10% was...
No, 25%.
Money buy for aluminum is
25 for both.
25, give you 20, give you 25, give you Edward Lawrence, Fox Business. What's going down, Edward? Good morning there at the White House.
Bill. Good morning. Yeah, the president uses tariffs as a tool here. Now, the president sees tariffs as possibly a pay-for some of the tax cuts he wants, but he also sees them as a way to deter and get what he wants out of other countries. Now, the president expected to announce reciprocal tariffs on all countries, in addition to those steel and aluminum tariffs. Now, one reason why, let's look at autos, imports and exports. European Union puts a 10% tariff on every car going into that country, like Germany, going into those countries. The U.S. places a 2.5% tariff on cars from Germany coming into the U.S. So it makes it more expensive to buy American cars in the European Union and less expensive for Americans to buy German cars here. Advantage Europe. The president sees that happening just about across the board and wants to level the trade playing field with our friends. In addition, the president also uses tariffs as a tool. 25% on Canada and Mexico. Immediately, the two countries pledged 10,000 additional personnel to stop the illegal fentanyl and border crossings that are happening.
You announced tariffs on Canada and Mexico. You immediately got action from both of them on border security and drug interdiction.
I did. A lot of action that nobody expected.
Is that good enough?
No, it's not good enough.
Not enough. He wants more. Now, Democrats support the 10% tariff on China, which basically blocks most U.S. products coming in a variety of ways, but say other tariffs might go too far. Listen.
Trump's war on our closest trading partners threatens to raise the cost of household basics for every American family. Trump cares about his bank account, not yours. He's focused on his family grievances, but not your family's grocery bills.
But President Donald Trump has used tariffs in the past effectively in his first administration. He believes that he can do it again without inflation this time around.
Okay, we shall see, Edward. Thanks. Nice to see you from the White House there, North Lawn. Dana.
For more on this, Mark Thiessen is a former White House speechwriter and a Fox News contributor. It's great to have you here. I remember last Sunday before last, I didn't even really bother getting too in the weeds on the tariff issue because I thought it'll change by 9:30. It was 9:50, so I almost nailed it. How do you see this issue playing out, and how are other countries viewing our attempts?
Well, first of all, this is a little bit different from that because I think in the case of Canada and Mexico, those tariffs, that was about fentanyl and illegal migration and using tariffs as a tool to get them to act. Here, what he's doing is this is a national security issue. China now dominates the global steel and aluminum market. They produce more steel and aluminum than the entire rest of the world combined. But their economy is tanking and going down, and so they can't use all the steel. So they've got a steel glut. So they are dumping their global steel glut onto the world market at really cheap prices. And there used to be in these tariffs an exemption for other countries like Canada, Mexico, and Australia and other neighborly countries. And so what's happening is China's selling them cheap steel that they're using, and then they're exporting expensive steel to us. And so he's closing that loophole and protecting our steel industry.
He said very simply, if they charge us, we charge them. It will be reciprocal for every country, all right? Back to Air Force One we go. On deportations, some interesting numbers that came out. I'll share the numbers of what America's thinking after this. Watch.
deportations? There's been some reporting that you've been upset that they're having that more deportations.
No,
By that.
I think they're doing an incredible job. It's very tough. Deportations, finding murderers is not easy. They're doing an amazing job, I think. Tom Homan's doing an amazing job. Kristi Noem is doing an amazing job. But it's not easy finding murderers who know they're being looked for. We're getting rid of thousands of criminals from our cartel.
On that note, Pew Poll came out with a survey, and they found about 60% of Americans approve of the efforts to deport people living here in the U.S. illegally. They have made a very important point about this, is that they're going after the criminals. Yep. And it appears so far, I mean, that's the plan. And can we say whether or not they're being successful on these early days?
They are. It's hard to find criminals as it is, and it's even harder to find them when the cities and localities are not helping and sometimes hindering your efforts to do it. But look, there was a New York Times poll earlier this year. 87% of Americans support deporting the criminal aliens, the people who have criminal records. And then if you look at for all the migrants of the last 4 years, the people who came in during Biden's border disaster, it's 63%, and a 55% majority support deporting all illegal migrants. So the country has come around. It's amazing what happens when you open our borders and allow millions of people to come in. The American people suddenly say, maybe we should go with Trump's way of doing things.
The other thing is that there's this internal CBP memo that shows migrant groups might say, okay, maybe we shouldn't go. It says, upon learning about the multi-agency force security on the southwest border in social media and through family members in the United States, the migrants decided to return to their country of origin. And that's the ultimate deterrence.
It's deterrence. This is how you close a border. You don't allow people to come in, and you deport them when they do come in, and the people will stop coming. And it's also, by the way, the other thing that's really important to remember: the Biden border disaster has reduced support for legal immigration. Yeah. Which Donald Trump's a big supporter of legal immigration. I interviewed him in Mar-a-Lago, and he said he wants to increase legal migration. But for the first time, when he was president, supermajority supported either increasing legal migration or keeping it the same. Now 55% want to reduce legal migration. So that's the legacy of the Biden administration.
Well, it's quite extraordinary to think that Dana and I would sit here on certain mornings. We watch thousands and thousands of people across the border, and the gate was just wide open. No more. Mark, thank you.
Closed now.
Yeah, nice to see you, Mark. More coming up with you. Thank you, Mark, for being here today. About 7 minutes past, despite Democrats' best efforts to delay President Trump's cabinet nominees, they're moving through the gears with DNI nominee Tulsi Gabbard due for a procedural vote later this evening. Aisha Hasni on the Hill, senior correspondent there. Is that going to happen, Aish? Good morning to you. Hello.
It looks like it is, Bill. Good morning to you. We're expecting that vote to happen about 5:30 this evening. And remember, Republicans can only lose 3 of their own. This is that filibuster vote. It's to break the filibuster. It's the first procedural vote that sets her up for her final confirmation. We're watching senators like Mitch McConnell and Lisa Murkowski. Those two have previously voted against President Trump's most controversial candidates. But it does look like Gabbard will get the votes, the 51 votes that she needs to get to confirmation. And that's partly in thanks to Vice President J.D. Vance and Intel Chair Tom Cotton, and that's because Fox Digital has learned that Vance was really instrumental here, making personal phone calls to senators on this committee that were a little iffy on Gabbard. Cotton was also setting up this makeshift war room, reaching out to former Senator Kyrsten Sinema, we're told, also former Intel Committee Chairman Richard Burr, to help bring in some of those senators. A big problem for these folks, especially Democrats with Gabbard, was her inability to call Edward Snowden a traitor. But in the end, it looks like Cotton and Vance teamed up and worked to ease the minds of these Republicans. Now, RFK Jr. is also expected to get a vote this week. Democrats continue burning the clock, delaying these votes by taking up the 30-hour debate rule to really bash these candidates. And Bill, FBI Director nominee Kash Patel will also get a committee vote this week. So all those controversial nominees that we were watching, they are moving forward, it looks like.
Okay, all right,
Bill?
you got it. Aisha Hasni on the Hill, watching all that movement there on this Super Bowl Monday. Thank you, Aisha.
I do believe we're making progress. We want to stop the Ukraine-Russia war, and I want to stop it just because I hate to see all these young people being killed. The soldiers are being killed by the hundreds of thousands.
President Trump revealing he has spoken to Vladimir Putin about ending the war in Ukraine, how a peace agreement could possibly take shape.
Also, the fight over school transparency heating up, how Democrats in one blue state are fighting to overhaul their parents' Bill of Rights. Plus this.
He still believes there's a role for the federal government to come in and help people get back up on their feet. But there's a lot of fraud and waste and abuse out there.
Is FEMA headed for a major overhaul? HHS Secretary Kristi Noem endorsing the plan as the administration works to accelerate aid for storm victims. Lawmakers in Washington state clashing over parental rights in education as Democrats work to make some changes, including adjusting requirements to allow schools 48 hours before they must notify parents if something happens to their kids. Washington House GOP leader Chris Corey saying when you're not willing to give notification if there's been an issue with your kid at school, parents are going to question, what are you doing and what are your motives for not telling me what's going on? Tiffany Smiley is the founder of Endeavor PAC and former U.S. Senate candidate. Of course, you're from Washington State. It's good to see you again. So wait, what is happening? How did this turn out this way?
Well, look, when you have a governing majority, who votes against parents being informed if their child is a victim of sexual misconduct, whether by an employee, a teacher, or someone of authority, you could just see how out of touch the Democrats in Washington state are. They're more worried about pushing their woke radical agenda than they are protecting children here in this state. And I wish I had better news to share about Washington state. We are, in fact, the only state in the country that went more left instead of right. So we have a lot of work to do. It was just last year that legislators actually passed an initiative that changed the language in the law that gave parents authority and rights to know right away of the safety of their children. And this is all being undone. They're undoing the will of the voters. And Dana, what's unfortunate about it is this is what creates apathy in voting. So we don't have a great turnout in voting here in Washington state, but these kind of antics are exactly what caused that, because people feel like their voice is not being heard. At the end of the day, it comes down to common sense and protecting our kids. And we have a lot of work to do here.
Okay, so I want to read this to you. This is from Democratic State Representative Marcia Stonier. I hope I'm saying that correctly. She said the 48 hours gave time for school officials and law enforcement, if necessary, to get the facts clear so that accurate information is provided to the right adults who are responsible for that child. And here's State Senator Jamie Peterson. This is just incredible. Listen here.
Kids over 13 have the complete right to make their own decisions about their mental health care. Parents don't have a right to have notice. They don't have a right to have consent about that.
Is that really what they think?
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, I hate to say that. I'm a mom of 3 boys, and I can tell you that 13-year-old boys absolutely need parents or a guardian or someone who's guiding them through life. This is absolute insanity. There's no common sense. There's no adults sitting at the table here in Washington state. And so I hope voters realize that it does matter who you vote for. This affects our daily life. It affects the future of our children. And I hope that Democrats wake up and realize that they're actually undoing the will of the voters. It's a slap in the face to democracy, Dana, and it has to change.
Can I just add one other thing? Could you please play call for number 1 for Tiffany here?
The underlying bill essentially states that schools can wait 48 hours before they tell parents if their children were involved in any kind of criminal action or if there was any sexual misconduct of staff. We have seen a stunning amount of sexual misconduct and sexual assaults by educators in our schools just in the last year itself.
Well, that's certainly very disturbing. Let me give you a quick last word, Tiffany.
Yeah, it's extremely disturbing. Look, as a parent, we deserve to know right away. You can look at the statistics. Kids are more successful when their parents are involved, and clearly they're safer. What Washington state is doing, the legislators in the governing majority, is putting their woke ideologies ahead of our children. It has to stop. We need common sense in Washington state. We need leadership. I do have hope for Washington state. I think there's still a chance to turn this around in the future, but we have to put our kids first. And the Democrats are it's a slap in the face to democracy for a party that talks about democracy all the time. It's time that we put our children first.
Tiffany, it's great to see you again. Glad you're still in the mix here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dana.
Okay, now, so Kendrick Lamar proven he's not like us. Clever. That's today's Hemmer Celebrity News. Here we go. Last night, New Orleans. Fresh off the big Grammy win, the rapper taking the stage for Apple Music's halftime show, making history, first solo hip-hop artist to headline that. He brought his friends too, Dana. Serena Williams, Samuel L. Jackson performing as Uncle Sam and singing with frequent collaborator SZA. The surprise star apparently was his flared jeans that got a lot of attention online. The pants are a viral throwback.
Are they?
Some consider that controversial. I think we could debate. Maybe they look like jeans to me.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about that.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What did you think of the performance, halftime show?
I kind of enjoyed it.
Okay.
There were times where I was like, wait, what is he saying? Apparently, I thought he was saying pickleball. And around the country as cleanup begins. Garrett Tenney is live on New Orleans' famous Bourbon Street with more. Hi, Garrett.
Hey, Dana, good morning. All morning long, we have had Eagles fans slowly trickling out of Bourbon Street who never went to bed last night. They have been up celebrating since the Eagles' victory. And there's a lot of reason for them to celebrate because this game was complete domination by the Eagles from start to finish. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense, they never got it going. The Eagles' defense was all over him, sacking him 6 times, forcing 2 interceptions, including this one to rookie cornerback Cooper DeJean, who was celebrating his 22nd birthday and took it back 38 yards for a touchdown. After the game, even the diehard Eagle fans we talked to were surprised by how one-sided this game was.
I thought it was at least going to be a shootout all the way to the end for sure. No question.
Good result for you?
I mean, I wanted the Chiefs to get embarrassed, but now that I've seen it, I feel a little bad for them now.
I thought it was going to be much closer, and I lost a few bets because, the Chiefs did not perform at all. What went wrong? What happened? Well, we didn't show up. That's what happened.
Here's what Bourbon Street looked like last night as thousands of Eagles fans packed the streets celebrating their team's second Super Bowl victory, and as a handful of Chiefs fans washed away their sorrows after the Mahomes magic never showed up and their hopes for a historic 3 straight Super Bowl wins got extinguished. Eagles fans, likely including Jesse Waters, have not stopped celebrating since.
He's under the table, isn't he, Dana?
We'll see. We're going to see if we'll see if he's under the table at 5. No, he'll be there. He'll be there. And we'll have fun talking with him about that. Thanks.
People don't understand that jeopardizes the lives of our great men and women in law enforcement. And if you leaked it, we will find out who you are and we will come after you.
Okay, now AG Pam Bondi's stern warning after planned ICE operations apparently were leaked to the media. So details on that and what we're learning about it today. Plus, sky-high signing and President Trump ushers in Gulf of America Day. Try that on.
We're flying over right now. We're flying over a thing called the Gulf of America, and I'm signing a proclamation.
Now we got more. 10:30 in New York. Another update now. A 3rd federal judge has just blocked the president's executive order, which seeks to end birthright citizenship. Now, as you consider that, we're also awaiting a hearing later today on the buyout offer for federal employees. That'll go down in Boston around 2 o'clock this afternoon. So there's a lot of judicial action today thus far, and really over the weekend too, Dana.
It's one of the things that it's like the president can move fast and break things, and then the courts come in and try to say, well, wait, hold on just a second. So there is some confusion, especially if you're a federal worker and you're worried, am I going to be able to get the money? If that doesn't all work out in terms of the severance pay. Kevin McCarthy last Friday said, when has the government not paid?
That's true on that.
That's a good point.
There was 2 other things that just in our show today that we learned is that they think if you get an extension, if you buy some time for federal employees to think about it, they might get more people to sign up for it, A. And I think what Andy McCarthy said last hour really surprised me. Mm-hmm. He pretty much said that he thinks that Trump has standing on all of this. So could be a fight, could go on for a time. I always trust Andy McCarthy.
Always trust Andy McCarthy. That's a good rule. We also want to show you this. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy is visiting Clyde, North Carolina. That's just to the west of Asheville, North Carolina, of course, still reeling and trying to build back after Hurricane Helene. This was a place where a lot of people lost their homes, lost their schools, and immediately upon taking office, President Trump said, we will not let these people be forgotten. And so Kristi Noem was there last week. Well, first of all, the president went. J.D. Vance went to the place in Virginia. You have Kristi Noem visiting there last week, and now Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy trying to figure out a way to deal with I-40.
And Vance also went to Palestine, Ohio, at the end of last week on the 2-year anniversary. So, I mean, they said they weren't going to forget about him, and so far that is the case. All right, here we go now. Trump administration now stepping up its showdown with the FBI. It's now accusing the Bureau of leaking plans for an immigration crackdown in Los Angeles carried out by ICE. David Spunt working that story for us. What did you find out, David, from L.A.? Hello.
Hey, good to see you, Bill. Well, Attorney General Pam Bondi busy on her second week in office dealing with this fallout from the FBI, also promising yesterday right here on Fox News to go after people who leaked to the media that there would be ICE raids in Los Angeles and Colorado. Watch this.
If you leaked it, we will find out who you are and we will come after you. And it's not going to stop our mission. It's not going to stop the president's mission to make America safe again.
Now, she even said obstruction charges could be on the table. The AG and FBI agents across the country on edge, those FBI agents for the past week and a half after the deputy acting attorney general ordered those FBI agents and support staff involved in January 6 investigations to fill out a questionnaire. More than 4,000 agents and support staff filled out the questionnaire. Leaders here at the Justice Department have been going through that list. The president was asked directly on Friday about firing FBI agents involved in those January 6 probes. Watch.
I'll fire some of them because some of them were corrupt. Those people are gone, or they will be gone, and it'll be done quickly and very surgically.
Leaders with the FBI Agents Association, representing more than 14,000 agents nationwide, are staying out in front of this.
FBI agents do not choose the cases they investigate. They are assigned to cases by their superiors. They follow.
At some point, didn't you probably ask yourself, like, why is it called the Gulf of Mexico? You know, even if you didn't say it out loud.
I do
it's just
now.
Like, and so it's the politics of the layup to me. There's no cost to renaming it Gulf of America. It's an easy win, and Americans kind of say, yeah, that makes sense. I'm good. Let's go with that. If nobody else adopts it, who cares?
I dig it.
Love
Jimmy?
it. Well, you brought up kids. Lincoln said to me, he's like, can you believe he's signing executive orders on the plane? And I was like, yes, this is what people who don't drink do on planes. They work on the plane. President Fela would have been on his third Bloody Mary scrolling for a movie to watch. Yeah. But to the point of substance, the Gulf of America is a signal to the world that this is an administration that has ambition. They're thinking big. They want to do big things. And in doing so, instill civic pride in this country again. So I love it. I applaud it. I thought it was great.
There's also a question about Canada. All right. Still, President Trump still talking
big.
about this. And Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor, said this over the weekend.
I don't think there's any plans to invade Canada, if that's what you're talking about. But really what you're seeing is a reassertion of American leadership in the Western Hemisphere from the Arctic all the way down to the Panama Canal. And that's what we're talking about.
This matters from an economic standpoint.
Oh, it sure does. Yeah, and the way I read this, and I know the president's really make it a state, but as an economist and business guy and knowing how much trade happens across that border, the way I read it is he's saying, I want to have a close, great relationship with an economy that matters because we need what they have and they need what we have. So, look, I mean, statehood or not, I think he wants to get to a better place. Justin Trudeau has not been a good partner for him. I think there are better partners on the horizon, like Pierre Poilievre, and he's trying to set up that relationship. And yes, it's a little antagonistic, but imagine if you could actually take down trade barriers on both sides. They'd buy more of our stuff and vice versa. Yeah. That would be awesome for America, and it would be awesome for Canada. Why not try to get there?
Yeah, my sense is give it another month or 3, and he's probably going to get a better deal out of it.
Oh, I think so, 1,000%. And I think that's what he's trying to leverage here. When you have an economy as big as ours, you don't have to tolerate the trade imbalance that we're currently dealing with. And he's not really trying to, as Brian said, alienate them. He's just trying to acknowledge these are the facts. We can all do better.
I'm going to read 2 Truth Social posts from the weekend. Okay.
Speaking
First
of big
one
things.
is on pennies. For too long, the United States has minted pennies, which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful. I have instructed my Secretary of the Treasury to stop producing new pennies. Let's rip the waste out of our great nation's budget. even if it's a penny at a time. And then this, I will be signing an executive order next week ending the ridiculous Biden push for paper straws, which don't work, back to plastic. Let's see, Brian, you're on pennies, you're on plastics.
Okay.
Go.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so the penny, I think it's possible to live without it. There have been economists who have studied this. They kind of come down both sides. At the end of the day, it's probably not going to raise prices. It does cost more to make the penny, so it's probably not a good deal to do it, although you also have a problem because it costs more to make the nickel, I think, actually, than it's worth. So if you do the penny, you might have to do the nickel. I don't know that I'd get rid of the nickel. Here's what I think. Businesses are going to adapt. Consumers are going to adapt. People are going to want to make a big deal about oh no, this could be an inflation. Yeah. They're doing this with everything. Settle down. We'll be okay if we don't have the penny. We've invented new ways.
Okay, all right. So it's going to be on Apple Pay eventually anyway.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Apple will be a bank in our lifetime, I predict.
There's not a business around here that takes cash anymore anyway. Yeah. It's all credit cards. So what does it matter?
Just because they won't take your cash.
But a taxi driver loves a tip.
He does.
Cash.
Yeah, thank you. But let's have this talk. When it comes to straws, that was the moment I realized Trump is serious about Mount Rushmore. Okay? You get rid of the plastic straw. You have a bipartisan level of support no president has ever experienced. Because nobody likes a paper straw. Okay, the guy who invented the paper straw is using plastic. Okay, nobody got behind this, and we have no way to quantify how it was actually helping us environmentally. I was told it was because turtles ate plastic straws. We don't know these turtles. I'm sure we could do a better job of educating them, though, and getting them to let us enjoy our beverages. So I'm all Trump on this.
All right. Great to see you both.
I guess.
Get a turtle on the radio show. Ask him. See what he says.
We're going to take a call today. Take the 99th turtle.
Turtles don't
Great
vote.
to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Sean Duffy, Transportation Secretary, is on the ground. He's in Clyde, North Carolina, about 30 minutes west of Asheville, touring that area. How the Trump administration now is putting a new focus on the area about 5 months after Hurricane Helene. We'll take you there live. Plus, emaciated, frail, barely able to stand up. Hostages released by Hamas raising new concerns of the plight for those still in captivity.
It's clear that these hostages don't have time. If these are the hostages that are coming out, it means the ones who have not yet been released are in even worse condition.